welcome to Talking with Famous People. I am the host of Talking with Famous People, and I'm here with famous person Felix. Um, Felix, when you're not interacting with people, you're not talking or listening to someone, what are you thinking about?
Video games, Yu-Gi-Oh, arguments.
Uh, yeah, or what video games?
Right now, I'm really on Dark Souls.
Dark Souls 3?
I wish Dark Souls 2, unfortunately.
Oh, I see. Uh,
hmm
I'll ask one more question about Dark Souls because I don't want this to turn into a Dark Souls interview, but what
Okie
build
doke.
are you running?
Okay, I run a stealth faith build.
Mmm.
Mainly, I like to focus on healing and hexes. Like playing
Fuck
with life and death,
hexes.
I think it's fun.
Mm-hmm. So you're thinking about the activities you like doing, and you're thinking about arguments, um,
hmm
and Yu-Gi-Oh. But I would put that in with games, anyways. So would you rather get the understand the reality of a situation, or would you rather understand the implicit reasons behind the situation happening?
I would rather understand the reality of the situation.
Hmm. Would you say you think in visual terms?
Very rarely, so no.
Do you think truth is created or discovered?
Discovered.
Hmm. Would you say you have a strong sense of ethics?
Um, I would hope so.
Let's see. Um, are you more inclined to deter to others or stand firmly in what you believe in?
I am very stubborn, so I'd probably stand my ground.
Let's see. Mm, would you say you operate in frameworks, or what are you? Let's see. How can I phrase this? Damn it! I'm bad at asking questions, Eric. I'm bad at this.
Okay, well, I don't think you're doing a bad job.
I like the last
I
question.
want to ask the following questions. If you are in a situation where there's three people, one of whom is behaving very upset, and the other two who are apparently are ignoring it or are oblivious to it, how do you react?
I'm not one of the three people within the statement. I'm
Correct.
just
You
a fourth
walked
person.
into a
Okay.
room. You walked into a room. There's three people there. That's the situation. You don't know any of them.
Try to engage with all three of them.
What do you say?
Hi, everyone.
The two people who are ignoring the crying person turn and say, "Oh, hey," and turn back, and one of them look at the newspaper, the other one look back to his phone. The crying person doesn't even acknowledge you.
Probably go talk to the crying person at that point.
And what do you say to her, the girl? She's about 17 years old.
What's wrong?
I'm crying, can't you tell?
Why are you crying?
Why do you think I'm crying? I'm sad.
Do you want to tell me why you're sad?
Hmm. Well, I'm sad because these two people are ignoring the fact that I'm crying.
Do you know these people?
No.
Do you think it matters?
I do. I think it matters very much.
You can go ask them if they...
You go, I'm scared.
I'll be right back. I think I'd go ask them.
Okay, so now I'm one of the guys. I'm reading the newspaper. What do you say to me?
Do you know why she's crying?
Who, that girl? She comes here every day and cries.
She comes here every day. Are you here every day?
Yeah, I'm here every day too. I'm here at the bus stop, see? I'm waiting for the bus. But she never gets on the bus. She just comes here and cries every day, stands here next to us and cries. We just asked her what was wrong. She said, it's because I'm crying, can't you see?
And you didn't think it was weird that she never left? She was always just...
So she leaves as soon as we get on the bus and drive away. We watch her leave, walk back to her house over there.
Okay, now I'm curious as to why... Is this... The thing that I'm most curious now is why the girl feels it's important to cry only in the presence of people who feel it's unnecessary. I feel like that's a sign of a serial killer. She's looking for prey. I am nervous at this point.
Well, that's interesting. See, I think that's what just happened there is what happens when two ENTPs go with one of those things.
Because, like, honestly, like, the situation seemed completely normal, just like somebody who isn't, like, empathizing with somebody crying, but then you find out that the person crying might only be putting on a display, because apparently as soon as nobody's looking, they're fine. That worries me. Because I can't fake cry. People who can fake cry are either actors or...
Just because she walks home doesn't mean she's fine.
I don't know. I feel like emotional distress would make you stay. At least for, like, until you're within the buses, like, no longer in eye shot.
Okay, so look. In the cognitive function model, they say the ENTP leads with something called extroverted intuition, which is a cognitive function that basically sees possibilities, and in my understanding of it, it disrupts existing models. So it tends to find vulnerabilities in existing models. And the ENTP leads with that function. The reason we tend to find vulnerabilities in existing models, the ENTP does, is because TI is the second function, introverted thinking, which means that we direct our possibility-ness towards abstract models usually. So that's why what typically is the ENTP's nature. INTP, which is like Zach here, he has it reversed. He has TI in the first slot and NE in the second slot, which is why he might be more incisive about questioning certain things or pursuing certain lines of argumentation when he gets more comfortable with the questioning process. But he's less fluid across the surface, like we are both, I think, in the like just sort of playing that thing out, right? And I think it's because he's INTP. But see, this is the thing about INTPs. Once they see it done, and then they learn it, and then they can do it themselves, no problem. And they tend to get better than the person who teaches them shit. It's the thing that INTPs are. But ENTPs have a natural fluidity about us because we lead with the NE instead of with the TI, which means we lead with possibility making. The third function is for the ENTP is FE. That's extroverted feeling, which means we're concerned about how we're coming across to other people a lot. We care about what kind of impression we make. Much more so than the INTP, who's really concerned about truth and understanding things deep down, and they have FE in the fourth slot. We're sort of cousin types, you might say, or I don't know what you call that. And then the last slot for us is SI. Are you kind of sloppy and not always on top of your shit and kind of all over the place?
Yeah.
A little bit? Yeah. Well, me too. So this is a cognitive function model, and you came in with some sort of like, well, I don't think personality types really mean anything, but I think it's probably because you didn't come in with a personality type understanding to factor in the cognitive function model so much, right?
Yeah.
So, Zach, do you have any, now that he understands that aspect of things, what do you think, how do you think we pursue further understanding of the type via that, just by being direct and asking questions, like, I mean, did that sound like you, NE, first?
Yeah, you had me at the very last part, because like what I meant by I saw them as astrology was kind of like the argument that you are a product of your environment. Well, I do believe your environment influences you. I do also believe that you have at least some ability to influence it back. Kind of like somebody who knows the test they're taking can kind of screw with it.
So you think what is this a free will determinist thing or what?
I don't know. Like, for me, the only thing that I see as free will is your ability to determine your own attitude. Like, free will doesn't extend to the world which you live in, so I feel that free will is only, like, it rained on me, I'm going to make sure it doesn't rain on other people, I'm going to tell them. Or it rained on me, I'm going to get undercover and laugh at all the people who got stuck in the rain. Like,
Jack, what do you make of that?
So you think you have free will over just... Would you say you have free will over what you do with the information that's in your head?
yes.
Would you say you have free will over the information that comes into your head?
No.
I see. So you're a compatibilist.
I don't know, am I?
I don't know.
What does that
Generally how I feel about it is that I think you're right. I think that we have free will over how we utilize information in our heads, but I don't think we have free will over how the information arises, right? So like if you take the thought experiment of like, think of like 3 movies, okay? Then you made the decision to think of 3 movies, but you don't have a decision over what 3 movies come into your head. See what I'm saying? That's how I view free will.
That's trippy. That's
I like that.
so cool. That's trippy, Zach. I like that.
That is crazy.
Because it's almost like muscle memory. It's whatever 3 movies I feel like have left the biggest impression on you, like your favorite movies, I guess.
Well, I mean, I don't even know if it's necessarily a favorite. It's just that I think that's like a simple thought experiment to show that like you don't necessarily have control over everything that pops into your head, but I think you have complete control over how you choose to utilize it, right? Like you can,
Yeah.
and you can even choose to like discard one of the options that comes into your head and reach back into the cookie box, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
so I'm a compatibilist in the sense that I think we have free will to an extent. Whereas a determinist would probably believe that you don't even have free will over what you do with the information, you know?
Yeah, because everything's predetermined.
Yeah, like, so that's how, I think that's how I view the whole free will thing. How do you view your past experiences? How do you view memory? Like, or memories, so to speak, as you as a person?
Honestly, I don't really know. Because when I think about my own thoughts, I try to quantify them, I suppose. And it gets really hard because is it in a single neuron? I really doubt if somebody were to take a piece of my brain out, they could see my thought in that piece of brain.
There it is.
But
There's elephant right there. There's the thought of elephant. It's in this cell.
yeah, I see like that. Like I really doubt that's possible. But when you put all of the cells together, I don't know if it's because a brain on its own isn't sufficient to produce thought. It has to be a living brain. I don't know why only a living brain is capable of producing thought, but like applying electricity to a dead brain doesn't produce brain waves. So I don't know what they are. It's a certain electrical impulse through the cells while they're alive, or just a specific frequency that we can't reproduce. I don't know how I feel about memory.
Well, outside of like a biological way of viewing it, when you think back on your memories, how do you view them in general? Do you think they're significant, or do you think do you regret a lot of
Yeah.
them, or do you?
Well, I think they're very significant. As far as regret them, there are things I wish I could change, but sometimes I feel that it might just be superficial. Like, I don't know if the struggles which I faced have, like, shaped me. So I may want to keep some of them, may want to discard some of them, but since I don't really feel that I'm, like, unbiased enough to determine which are helpful and which aren't, I feel like ultimately I have to accept them all as they were.
How do you feel? How often do you think about your relations toward other people, or your relations with other people?
Probably as often as I'm around people.
That's a good answer.
That's such an ENTP answer. What size t-shirt are you?
I think medium.
A medium? Okay, I think you probably get a large.
I like these topics.
Let's see.
They're just meta enough for me to like, but not meta enough for me to be like, you're so deep I don't even understand you.
Yeah,
Like,
this is the type of stuff we talk about on this show. It's so fun. That's why I fucking love it. You know.
Like I love things like the cave, but only to a certain extent. And I feel like this is striking the perfect balance between like this is too foreign for me to like digest, and just foreign enough for me to be like a new cuisine, I guess.
Hmm. Well, I think like the cognitive function model in general is kind of a. I think it's like a way to categorize. I mean, I think most people would agree there's only a certain number of ways you can interact with your environment, right? There's only a certain number of ways you can interact in general. And I guess the cognitive function model tries to categorize that into specific mechanisms by which we interact with the external world and our internal world. And then our preference for those faculties would be your type. So the ones that you prefer to use would be what your type is. Now, when you get past that and you start getting into like MBTI and stuff, I think that's where it gets a little bit like when you read like personality pages online and shit. I mean, that most of that stuff is just that's how I viewed it when I first was getting into it. I was like, this is like astrology basically. You know, like there's no way this personality page, there's no way a personality page is going to depict an individual, right? Like people just aren't reducible to 16 types, right? But
Yeah, of
when you
course.
start looking at it like through
Awesome.
before like the MBTI stuff, before
That's
just like the functions.
Swag. Yeah, swag. Is it on? Is it in the frame?
Yeah.
Yeah. I still gotta get. How do I get one again, Eric? What the fuck do I do?
You have to send a postcard, remember?
Oh
You
yeah.
have to send a postcard.
I'm just gonna go
wait,
take a
wait,
picture
wait,
of
wait.
one of the coal mines or some shit.
Send a postcard from your local community center or whatever.
Where they churn butter and shit.
That's all they do in Kentucky. They just churn butter and go to church.
Churn butter, go to church, and work in the mines.
Yeah.
Honestly, the way that I like the topic we were just talking about, like the way that I personally view the idea of the personality thing. I guess the best way to like conceptualize it is culpability versus recidivism. Like I feel that the idea of a regimented personality model falls too much to culpability. It gives people the idea that I'm not ultimately at fault for my own actions, my own reasoning.
But what about predicting other people's behavior? For example, I knew when I handed you that terabyte drive that there was no way I was getting that back with my fucking files on for quite a while, right? Because you're an ENTP. I was just like, dude, this is not going to sound fun at all to him. It's going to sound like a boring fucking task. It's going to hang over him. He's going to be like, God, I really need to put this thing on that thing for Eric because he's going to be bugging me about it pretty soon. I could anticipate the whole way this fucking thing plays out.
Okay, can I ask you what you thought? What was the main motivation behind me not doing it?
It sounded like a big fucking hassle.
I don't.
You don't know how.
I don't know.
Did you try to figure it out at all?
I did.
All you gotta do is plug it in and literally drag and drop files onto it.
It did not come up, and I was just like, I don't want to like put, because you said put everything in and then delete everything, and I was like, if I can't do step 1, I really should move on to step 2.
No, well, you shouldn't move on to step 2. All right, well, bring it in or something.
Okay, I have it with me actually.
All right, just give me the terabyte drive back, and if you have to like delete stuff or whatever, you ran out of room on there or what?
No, I do all my stuff on cloud.
Just give me the terabyte, and I'll put because I needed to get filed up at this. My drive's completely full. This is derailing the conversation. Do you want to end this video here and just try the second one?
One last question before we end this one. So it'll be
Oakley
this
dokley.
interview. Do you put a lot of weight on your intuitions about things, or do you question your intuitions about the world or other people and try to refine them? Or do you
I
trust
definitely
them?
question everything. I question everything. I wouldn't say I question like reality certain times. Like I'm not gonna say I'll jump off a building to prove this is a dream kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm not that full blown Inception, but I do question whether my motivations are truly my own or a product of like the indoctrination which I've undergone throughout years of living in a very rigid society.
I see.
Full blown Inception. I like that description of somebody who's like headed their way into the clouds.
Yeah, like
He's gone full blown Inception. He's about to jump off a building to prove it's a dream.
yeah, like that's what I feel is scary about. Like that's what I was telling you earlier. Like there's meta that I can get into because it's like it's feasible, it's attainable. But then there's the meta that's like the Inception level, jump off a building to prove reality's a dream. That scares the shit out of me. Because one, they could be right. And if they're right, that's equally terrifying as to them being wrong. So, like, it's a lose-lose situation regardless of the outcome. Either they're
That's
right,
true.
and I'm never going to know that this is all a fucking simulation, which sucks, or they're wrong, and I guess delusional, like somebody who needed help didn't get help. And that's also equally shitty. Because in both instances, one life is not being lived the way that it could be at its maximum potential. Like, what's his name's pyramid? Maslow's pyramid. They're not self-actualizing anymore. Or they don't have the potential to do it.
That's an interesting way, yeah, tying psychology with it. Well, I guess this is kind of like based on psychology theories, but still.
When in Rome.
All right, let's wrap this up. That was a really good interview.